Hello.
Hello, everybody. See Millie is lurking in chat there. Hello, hello, hello.
That's impressive multitasking going on there.
Yeah. Oh, man. You just need, like, a grid of, like, a whole bunch of streams that you're just, like, watching / like, paying attention to, like...
Yeah, like the security office, the stereotypical thing, all the monitors.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I wonder what she's commentating. You have to let us know, Millie.
Uh...
Apparently there's stuff going on today in the gaming world.
Yeah, there's stuff that I don't know if Believe is commenting any of that stuff, but at least in Blizzard world, there's like 1,000 things going on. Well, not 1,000. There's like 2 main things going on right now, which is one, let's go with the lower impact thing first. One, they finally started a new season of Diablo 3, so which I'm assuming is going to be one of the last seasons that they'll ever do, just because v4 is going to come out eventually, sometime next year probably. So they might have like 1 or 2 more seasons in Diablo 3 for the, when I say season, I mean like there's like a seasonal ladder where they reset all your progress, and if you get to a certain point during it, they give you a bunch of free stuff, and yeah. So that started last night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I was not playing it, unfortunately. I wish I was, because I have a friend who's already like,
You're falling behind, Andrew.
He's already hit the end game. So, well, I mean, honestly, in order to hit the end game, it should only take you like 4 hours if you know what you're doing. So,
okay.
like,
is that pretty accelerated then? Like how much?
Yeah. So
give me it in D2 terms, because I haven't played Diablo 3. What's the ramp up to the end game like?
So basically, you just have to reach level 70 essentially, and then you can access the end game at any time. You don't technically have to finish the story if you don't want to. So it's literally just leveling up to level 70, and if you're in a situation where there's like, in D2 there's only like normal what is it, Nightmare in Hell, I think. There are almost 20 different difficulty levels in Diablo.
Okay. Are they all
Diablo
along
3?
like one axis, or are there different things going on there?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Are they all like along one axis? Is it just easy to hard, or are there different?
Yeah.
Sort of
Well, it's like, it goes like easy, normal, hard, and then it has like, I think it also has like Nightmare in Hell and stuff like that. And then you start getting to what they call Torment, which is like, we stopped wanting to name all of these. So it goes from like Torment 1 to Torment 16.
Okay.
So technically, like, the hardest you can get is Torment 16. And just to give you an idea, it's got like, when you're playing at that level, you gain like 7,500% more experience, because things are so much difficult. Like, even jumping to like hard mode increases your experience gain by like almost 100%. Like, and honestly, playing on hard mode is not super hard. So as you're progressing and stuff like that, you can easily ramp up that kind of stuff. So if you're really dedicated, you could probably get through it like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours. There's like, it's not that bad. And you only really need to do that once during a season, because you can have like a friend who's already leveled up to level 70 just like run you through. And you can like leech off of their experience basically. So it's not that hard, but like endgame in Diablo 3 is like, you hit 70 and you're starting to make your end game build, which is usually reliant upon like set pieces and stuff like that, although some builds don't use set pieces, blah blah blah. Fancy stuff.
I was gonna say, like, in these higher torment levels, do you kind of need to be really cheesy to survive, or?
So the thing is, there's not really any. I'm not gonna say there's not any cheese in Diablo 3. But in Diablo 2, there's like nonstop potion quaffing. That's not a thing in Diablo 3. You have one potion on a cooldown timer. That I think is like 45 seconds or something like that. But otherwise, it all revolves around your build, basically. And for most builds to be like viable, it's not a thing where you're like trying to stay like way off screen. You're not like trying to. I wouldn't say you're trying to cheese anything. You're just trying to make your build work, basically.
Yeah.
But sometimes that in order to get to the higher difficulty levels, then everything is going to have to like meld together appropriately, which usually usually involves like one particular set in order to do it.
Yep.
But there's another thing that's not related to sets, which I think makes the game a lot more interesting. And that is you can extract unique passives from items like weapons and armor and stuff like that. And you can equip up to 3 passives at a time. One from a weapon, one from a piece of armor, and then one from something else. I can't remember how it exactly works. Or maybe it's just 2.
So when you say extract passives, you literally mean the weapon will have some effect, and you can just take that effect out and then...
Yep, you use the cube. The cube's back.
Yes.
You can use the cube to destroy the item, but it allows you to select that passive from one of the menus in the cube, basically.
Okay.
And you can use that without equipping the item. So you can get additional passives that will help you make your build what it is without having to equip it, which opens up a lot of doors, basically.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I say that, but they just did something for this season, which made it even more insane. And so basically, like, that's what the end game is. You're getting this, like, overpowered build, and then they have these things called rifts, which is a randomly generated dungeon, basically, that you go in that you're supposed to try to complete in a certain amount of time. And you complete it by killing enemies, killing elite groups of mobs, gives you, like, spawns these, like, orbs, basically, which when you collect them, it, like, ticks up your progress counter by a lot. So, like, super endgame stuff is just, like, trying to run through those zones as fast as possible, find the groups of elite mobs, kill them, go to the next level, keep on doing it until you reach the end of the rift, and then when you do that, it spawns, like, a boss, basically. It spawns a boss for you to kill. And then by that time, once you kill the boss, it stops the timer. And if you do it within a certain amount of time, you get extra stuff, basically. It also unlocks the next level of rifts for you to try to complete. So basically, like, the most endgame you can get is trying to get as far as you can in the difficulty level of those rifts, basically. So, which doesn't stop at Torment 16, because...
Yeah.
Like technically when you make a game, that's the highest level that you can make to make the like mobs that are just like in the world, that level. But opening those rifts, you can pump up the difficulty like an incredible amount. So
okay, so you can farm that XP pretty efficiently.
Yeah, like once you're able to open up a rift, then that's probably the quickest way to get experience, because it just gives you elite mobs and stuff like that continuously in a small area. And so technically there isn't a level cap in this game, because they have, like, I think it's called like Paragon levels or something like that. It's some prestige thing, which gives you extra level, like, it gives you passives, basically, that you can, it gives you, like, there's like 4 different buckets, and within those 4 buckets, there's 4 different options for what you can do, and like the buckets are like offensive, defensive, utility, and then something else. I don't remember exactly what it is, but and then you can just like put stuff into those little things in the buckets, and it gives you 1 level of each of those per, like, it rotates per level up. So if you get like oh, I get to put a point in one of these offensive things now, and like when you level up again, it'll give you 1 for the defensive one. It keeps on going. I'm not sure if there's a cap for that, because you can go really high, like thousands of levels, I think, technically. But yeah, it gets really insane. And the nice thing is, once you make another character in that season, you get all of those Paragon levels to immediately put into the character. So leveling up a new character is a lot easier because you get all those nice passives, extra stats and stuff like that. So it makes things easier. But the crazy thing that they did this time, which last season was, they gave you another passive slot to choose from. So that changed the builds somewhat, because it allowed you to get some extra cool passives to make some things possible when they weren't. This season, they took that away, and instead, they made it so in Diablo 3, your followers can equip, like, believe, like a weapon, a chess piece, maybe, and like a couple of things. It was only a couple of things. It was like
Yep.
maybe a ring and then an amulet. Yeah. So now they can equip all the equipment that you can normally equip. So it's an entirely extra character.
Mm.
So, and also, they made it so that certain passives that are granted by equipment that your follower equips
Yeah.
isn't just granted to them anymore. It's also granted to you. So,
You
because
can
they'll
stack
be
even
like
more,
yes,
even
so
more
you
stuff.
can get even more like different auras and stuff like that, and like it's crazy. I don't know how it's gonna affect a ton of stuff, but like it's just like, oh my gosh, I have so many items that I have to put on this character now as well. Like, which is they just did it for this season. Like I don't know if it's unique to this season or they're gonna do that from now on because it seems like a lot of work to do for just a season. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
I
crazy.
imagine there's balancing stuff, and like it would open up some game breaking stuff if they didn't carefully
Yeah, it
do
gets
that.
really crazy. I mean, largely like it's not a PvP kind of game, so if you break the PvE, it's usually fine. So
Yeah.
never totally broken. But hey, Warwick's.
How's it going? Seems
Uh, we are
cool, cool. No
no
worries.
worries, no worries. We're just chatting about Blizzard Land right now. So talking about new Diablo 3 season, which I am itching to get into, but probably won't be able to do it all this weekend. But we'll get there. But also, Hearthstone just released a whole new set. But it's not only that, they redid like almost all of the core set of cards as well.
Okay.
So some cards are rotating in, or some cards are rotating out. There are some like completely new cards basically. So like for X amount of years, however Hearthstone's been out, you can generally assume that certain cards exist and you generally plan your strategies around like, oh, if I'm playing against like a warrior or something like that, I know that they have this in their like core set. Or if you're like playing against a mage and they're like generating like a random card or whatever, you can assume like, oh, okay, it's going to be somewhere in this bucket. And so you're like planning around that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been so ingrained in people's memory that certain cards exist that they just removed a whole bunch of like really core cards to certain classes.
Yeah, like
And
certain utility
yeah, like
things like
some like
okay.
basic identity kind of stuff. And they've replaced them with other things. And people are like, oh my gosh, like not only is there a new set of cards that's like an entirely new set for the expansion, the core set completely changed too. So like it's like playing an entirely new game at this point because you can still count on some things existing, but it's kind of weird because some people like some streamers are like having a hard time because they're like, oh no, that card doesn't exist anymore. I don't have to play around that. Like, what am I doing? Like, and
Yeah, I mean that's the way to shake up the meta, right? It's just
yeah, just change everything about it. Like keep the core mechanics the same, but like change like all of the content, and that's kind of what they did for the most part. So yeah,
that's cool.
it's crazy. So like people are having a good time, and I also think that the power level of this set is pretty high as well.
Mm.
Like they redid a whole bunch of cards, they unnerfed a whole bunch of cards as well. Like so I think like the overall power level of the game is going to be a little bit higher, which is interesting. Because I know when they did the design of the original Hearthstone, they, or at least they explained it away like this, they were okay with having cards in the core/base set that were just plain not as good as other cards.
Yeah.
And that was to like teach people like what a good card is,
Yeah.
basically. But they kind of did away with that a little bit because they removed a lot of garbage cards, like, and they replaced them with a lot of other ones. So I don't know if there was a kind of paradigm shift in how they're designing this, or if they're like some people, monetization's all a very difficult conversation to have, and like if you have a monetization scheme, like what do you want people to buy? Do you want
Mm.
people to buy? You want people to buy new cards or buy packs or whatever.
Yeah.
And why do they want to buy new packs? Because they want to get better cards or they want to get different cards. So they kind of removed, well, not completely removed, but they removed a lot of the initial issues with like, hey, I have the core set because it was free, but I don't feel like I can play against
Yeah.
a lot of people because they're just plain not as good as whatever the current like expansion set is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
To be fair, I've only ever really played like Arena or was it the
oh
Battlegrounds thing?
oh okay. I was gonna say like I not a lot of people play Arena right now. A lot of people play Battlegrounds. But
Battlegrounds is fun. I'm a fan.
I mean, well, it also has like no buy-in to it. It's just
Yeah.
like you're on the same, well, mostly on the same page as everyone, unless you get the Battlegrounds pass, and then you have more choices from different characters. But yeah.
Hey, Gothic. Is this a reference I should have got about Stellaris?
Stellaris is still. I tried to get into Stellaris. Like I love a 4X game, but
Oh,
man,
okay.
Stellaris. I like. Is Stellaris on sale this week?
Save 75% on Stellaris.
Is it this weekend? Really?
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize you were
I
talking
already
about that.
have Stellaris, unfortunately. I would have gotten it now if I didn't already have it, but no, Stellaris is good. It's just a lot of things going. And from someone who's only played like Civ kind of stuff, I got completely like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have that kind of game that you can put thousands of hours into. Like, I definitely
Yeah.
enjoyed Civ, very few versions of Civ over the years.
Yeah.
Maybe RTS more than like 4X for me. I'm a fan of like the base
Oh,
building.
that's sad then because there's like no RTS games now.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to play, Age of Empires, Red Alert, all the Command and Conquer games, Warcraft 3,
Yeah.
probably the one I played the most, but probably just played the custom maps more than the actual game, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few of these like space 4Xs, on my Steam, but I've never.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need a whole weekend at least.
Oh, totally. You can't just like, because if you sit there for a couple hours, you're not going to understand anything. So you gotta like, you gotta really go like all the way in order to understand almost anything that's going on.
Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Bit of a classic. I never super got into that again. Like the original, I played the original Civ, and then like, was it Civ 4 maybe?
Civ 4, I think, was one of the most popular ones. Civ 3 was, I remember I played Civ 3 as well. That was okay. It was just very easily exploitable.
Did you ever play the weird like console like Civ Lite thing? That was kind of interesting.
What is that?
Yeah, it's like a simplified, stripped back version of Civilization with like kind of chunkier graphics and units.
Was
and
it
stuff.
by the same people or was it like a different thing? Was it a different developer or like a different game altogether?
I'm trying to see what this was called.
Because there's a mobile game that was kind of like Civ, but it was very stripped back and very quick, which was interesting. It was just an interesting concept.
Oh, what was it even called?
There was also a Civilization board game as well.
Oh, Warwick's mentioned Legends of Runeterra. I think I remember seeing when they launched that.
Yeah.
I was at like a convention and I saw the big booth, and it just looked so much like a
Yeah.
reskin, like a Hearthstone reskin, like aesthetically. But
yeah, no, I mean, it's. I had a couple of friends get into it, but I think they kind of bounced out of it. I'm not sure. It might be a superior game. I mean, that's what happens all the time. Like sometimes a lot of superior games just don't get enough traction, and then.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they learn lessons. They're generally made by like people who've been big fans of the earlier versions. Okay, more complex than Hearthstone. More cards.
More cards. Yeah, I mean, that kind of like makes it seem like it's leaning more towards Magic. Because Magic has a lot of complex things going on. I used to play Magic online for a little while. And then I'm like, why am I paying money for cards that I could just buy the physical Magic cards and play with real people? Like, and then I think that was like when I was on my way out of Magic at the time.
Yeah. I played a little bit of like there are a couple of online Magic games. I
Yeah,
think
there
there was
are.
one on the
Yeah.
360 I played a little bit. I never got into like actually getting physical cards because I realized that
Oh, oh boy. I had
it's going to be a
many
money
of
thing.
them. I got most of them from like had like relatives and stuff who
Yeah.
someone had a whole bunch of old ones and they just gave it to me. I had some pretty cool ones at one point and then kind of went away. I think I traded them to someone for something, but I can't remember. I
Oh,
regret that considerably because some of them are worth like real money now. So
yeah. Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
I
Yeah.
never played a real
No,
game of
same.
Yu-Gi-Oh. I
We had
played at summer
Pokemon back in
camp.
the day. So at some point in the last couple of years, somebody invited me to play some Yu-Gi-Oh online thing, and then they
Yeah.
just threw down a load of dragons with like
Nope.
50,000 hit points, and I was like, "What?" I think they just tricked me in there so they could just steamroller me with some
Sure.
broken strat. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like Yu-Gi-Oh is so broken, I feel. Like even like admittedly, it's kind of broken. Like there's if you look on like tournament kind of stuff, like so many cards, or at least when I started looking into like trying to understand Yu-Gi-Oh, so many cards were banned in tournament play.
Yeah.
Just so many where I'm like, why are we doing this?
It feels very anime though, doesn't it? Like
It is.
those
Everything is
anime combats.
broken. And well, the thing is about the anime is that they don't even play by the rules in the anime. So like I guess that kind of goes along with how Pokemon works too, which is they don't really play by the rules during Pokemon either, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, the Civ thing was called Civilization Revolution. This was like
Oh,
2008. It was
weird.
designed by Sid, and it was a Firaxis game, and it kind of worked. Yeah, I think was it
Okay.
Gothic said, yeah, they only play certain games on console. I'm pretty much the same. Like very few RTSs worked on console. I think there was a version of Red Alert that tried to do
Yes,
it
there
with like
was.
big
That was not
images and stuff.
ideal.
And the Civ thing like actually worked, like surprisingly well. I mean,
Yeah,
you'd have no reason to play it over the um, PC version if you had the choice, but
sure.
it did kind of work at least.
It's kind of like Sim City for NES. Like technically you could play that Sim City if you really wanted to, but wasn't quite the same as playing real Sim City. So
Yeah. What is this arm thing that got
oh,
exploded?
it's the thing. It's like time to duel, and they like throw the cards out and from their.
Like a launcher?
Well, it's not a lot. I wouldn't call it a launcher, but you could like put individual cards on like a big old like arm sleeve thing. I don't know what to call it. I,
Okay, let's see what Google image search has to say for Yu-Gi-Oh arm thing.
it's intense. It's really intense.
What?
Yeah, yeah. The
It's like a
Yu-Gi-Oh arm.
spaceship strapped to their arm. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's cool.
like a little table.
Yeah.
So you can play it like standing up or what?
Oh man,
If you want to duel in the schoolyard, but
when I was at PAX East, I guess that was 2 years ago now. Like no joke about people just standing up and playing like card games,
mm,
especially if you knew like people. I had people in the line behind me playing Magic the Gathering against each other while standing up and just like furiously drawing through cards and like holding them in their hands and just like you know how people like can mentally play chess. They were
yeah,
doing the same
yeah.
thing with Magic the Gathering and just remembering what they had played and what their opponent had played and stuff
Wow.
like that. I
Wow.
mean, I think both of those people who were playing like combo decks or something, which is just
Okay.
like, all right, I just have to draw cards until I get my full combo and then I go ham on someone and then take like a 10-minute turn and then destroy them.
So not like needing loads of tokens and all
Exactly,
that.
because you could never pay attention to that. Like, um, yeah, it gets messy.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not on the image search for this Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It's just loads of marketing pictures of like 6-year-old kids with this
this
like
this
composers
huge
with this
piece
thing
of
on.
plastic on their arm. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, that I remember that being a thing.
Amazing how much we wanted this plastic stuff when we
Oh
were kids.
yeah, are you kidding me? I had my fair share of Beyblades when I was a kid.
I had the Power Rangers, like White Ranger knife
Oh, the
gun.
knife flute thing?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. When I was a kid, I didn't like Power Rangers, and for one specific reason, and that's because I took karate lessons, and I thought the Power Rangers were all fake because all of their motions were super exaggerated. I'm like, that's not real martial arts.
Yeah.
I was the same way about wrestling too. I'm like, that's not real fighting. I
Hey, sorry about that. Our bot will you keep posting links there. There's the link.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Yeah. We got an aggressive bot there. Yeah, yeah. I think I took things a little too seriously as a kid, so kind of didn't allow myself to enjoy goofy stuff like that.
One of the interesting things was Power Rangers was the one where it was imported from Japan and then just totally reimagined and redubbed with
Oh
like the
yeah.
combat scene spliced in, right? Like
It reminds me of like Robotech, which is like American or like English Robotech is like 3 different Japanese mecha series just like rolled into one thing. Yeah,
yeah.
I love Robotech, but like it is not what it's supposed to be. It is not what it's supposed to be. Oh man. All right, we should probably go over these amazing patch notes to the right of me right now. But yeah, we can probably, you know, shoot the breeze for a while we're playing games anyway.
We're having fun. Whatever people want to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. We're just here to hang out and chill with the community. So, but yeah, so new patch here, 4.24 Click Spring. Big things about this patch. Well, new terrain object. You've seen speed up, but have you seen speed down?
We're thinking really outside the box over here.
This was kind of a gimme right now. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes, and admittedly, there's a lot of things going on in people's lives right now. So, you know, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But yeah, but we did find the time to get in a new terrain object, and you will see it with this amazing snail. Don't step on the snail or you'll slow down. So it's basically just a -1 speed to a character that's currently on that tile. So it's just like the invert of our speed up tile, essentially. And to go along with that, we also have some new battlefield layouts that take advantage of the speed down tile. Something that popped up during our last community play session, was that the Engineer's Fire Lance was triggering shock like a whole bunch of times. Basically, every single time that it hit somebody, it would trigger shock, which, while interesting and cool, really made it so that the engineer would never ever want to use Fire Lance if they were shocked. So they were just taking an insane amount of damage at that point, which it was a little much. So we dialed that down and made it so that, hey, you're attacking once, you're using one skill, so you should get hit by shock once, as opposed to, you know, for every target that you hit, you know, you get shocked, which I'm not sure if that exists in any other move right now. Like,
so we have like, it's weird, right? This is kind of a gray area, and there's definitely some edge cases around this ability. So the way it works is it targets potentially several targets on the opponent's side of the screen, and then damages them all. So it's kind of like splash damage, but it's not quite like that. I suppose similar things would be like piercing, the things which attack somebody and the person behind them.
yes.
They have a similar kind of model. So we have like the concept of splash damage, which is relatively easy. Like splash damage doesn't normally trigger these things, but then we have like things which damage multiple people, or there's like secondary damage if you push somebody into someone else. So it's not always totally clear what should apply and what reactions an event should trigger in response to each of these. And also behind the scenes, this ties into other effects, right? Like if you have a bonus which adds damage to your next attack, then if you're attacking multiple people, how should we handle that? And right now, generally the way it works is there's always like a primary target. And these like consumable buffs will generally only apply to that like primary target, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I think feels right balance-wise. Yeah, but it's hard to make it totally consistent and kind of intuitive. So actually, I think with Fire Lance, it does matter which target you click. Even though you'll damage everyone on the opponent's team, the person you click will get the brunt of any of these little bonuses, which, for example, only apply to your next strike or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's super clear in the UI right now. And I feel like that's yeah. It's like should it just target the whole opposite side of the screen
Probably.
equally, and then in that case, who does the extra damage get applied to? Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if there's a 100%
Yeah.
perfect solution to that.
It's an interesting question, and I think it mostly just comes down to signposting it like clearly,
Yeah,
especially when you're previewing damage and stuff like that. Like as long as that is accurate, then should be okay.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
um,
something that we're hoping to do in the future is improve the way that damage previews are displayed. And what I'm kind of worried that we'll ultimately have to do is simulate the entire ability playing out
yeah,
behind the scenes to even figure out how to like signpost how some of these effects apply because it's not always super obvious, and sometimes there might even be like randomness
yes,
involved,
that's
so it's
true.
actually hard to make that like super reliable. Right now, it will try and give you estimates for things which it can sort of a priori determine ahead of time. It will
Yeah,
it will show those in the estimate, but certain secondary reactions and effects won't be included. Like if you have some passive effect on you which will like proc when you deal damage and then deal extra damage, that may not be included in the estimate, but something which just passively increases your damage output would, even though they kind of have the same effect. So it's a bit it's a bit tricky, right?
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. It's there's no easy answer to a lot of this stuff. It just mostly has to do what works for people, basically. Um, so a lot of
Yeah.
this kind of deep.
Yeah,
It works
exactly.
for the vast majority of our but you have to make at least some kind of like informed choice
Mm.
about how we're displaying certain.
One thing which would probably be doable and would kind of be nice to have is letting you know when you're going to damage yourself by doing certain things. Like if you're
Yeah,
pinned, and then certain actions you take might move you off your tile and therefore damage you. So we can probably preview that. Or
yeah.
I just lost my train of thought. But there's another example of something like that.
Hey, are you
Like
sure?
yeah, yeah. Like there are cases where other people's reactions or effects which you've got on you may trigger and deal damage to you or whatnot. So
I mean, yeah, it's kind of the issue with like I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of chess a little bit, which is it's like if you played a virtual chess game, right? That warned you every single time you were going to do something that was bad to
mm,
yourself, would you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Does it move skillful play,
yeah,
or is it just like is it a nice thing to have at that point? It's kind of a difficult question, because it basically like how much information are we expecting players to keep in their heads at all times?
mm,
And because we don't want to make make the game difficult, um, artificially, I guess, from
yeah,
hiding information or making certain information difficult to find, or it's not clear from, an aesthetics kind of thing or an accessibility or user interface kind of thing.
mm,
Like the difficulty should be from the choices that you make, not from assessing how much information there is, kind of.
yeah,
Because this is not a time. Well, I guess kind of it's a timed game, but like it's not like a game where you need like reflexes,
yeah.
which
The only
difficulty
reason the
is
game
at.
is
Yeah.
timed is to prevent griefing, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, in a situation where we're gonna call this game not time based, and in that case, like you should be able to have gain as much information as you possibly can to make the best choice that you possibly can at any given point of time. There shouldn't be a pressure to like make a decision really quickly with imperfect knowledge. Like you
Yeah,
should have perfect knowledge except for what your opponent is thinking long term. That should be the only thing that you should not know.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I think at the very least, if it's your turn and you're pinned, we could show a little warning icon or something on your tile. I think that's within reason. And it's also just making very clear the distinction between something which is passive and something which like triggers as a reaction, like
Yeah.
after something happens. And generally, I think we should signpost and include things which are like passive things in the UI and things which trigger after the fact. Maybe we shouldn't, especially since there's the potential in the future for those to be like, cancelled or blocked or
Yep.
redirected or all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where we're not 100% sure the best way to signpost those things until we fully understand all, like, what characters can fully do. We don't
Mm.
have all the characters designed yet. So,
Yeah, there's often
if
things where I'm like, oh, we could just signpost that, but what if we introduce like a
yeah.
cancel a reaction type ability? Like that seems quite plausible that someone will
Yeah.
have something like that. And then, well, we've just signposted something that's not actually going to happen. So should we have signposted the cancellation as well, or
Yeah.
all of these things? The other common one was targeting somebody who was being guarded by the warrior.
Yes.
We kind of changed how that worked actually, so it now makes
Yeah, we
sense.
kind of did.
It used to be that the warrior would stand in the tile in front of them and they would stay there. So, but you'd go to attack the person behind them, it would let you target them, but then you'd
Yeah.
end up just attacking the warrior in front, which I feel is kind of unintuitive. Whereas now there is a distinction between attacking the warrior versus attacking the person they're guarding, because it kind of affects where the showdown happens.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, but again, there's probably a sense of like should we have an icon to show that somebody's being guarded as well? Or is the warrior's stance with their big old shield enough to signpost that by itself?
Well, I mean, so there's a couple of things going on with that, right? So does it, man, because they will have, I think right now, as far as we know, they will have a status effect to show that they're getting a defensive buff, right? But
Mm,
do they not get it? No, because the warrior gets the defensive buff in that kind of thing because they
yeah,
don't have to be directly in front of them anymore because of how the man, it's interesting. There's a lot of things going on with status effects and how to correctly signpost those. So
yeah. By the way, anyone watching, this is what our team meetings are like.
yeah, pretty much. It's like back and forth about like what about this like very specific circumstance and point counterpoint, etc., etc. So
Yep.
yeah, we're all learning. We're all figuring it out as we go. So but no, it's that's just how design works basically. It's coming up with examples and counter examples of why you think things should be done in a certain way or just like exploratory stuff.
Yeah,
So
and more often than not, it's about what people expect to happen or what feels intuitive
yeah.
or right to them, which is not always what you would guess.
Yeah, it's also interesting how many things can be explained away by like an animation behaving a certain way.
Mm, that's a
Like
big one, yeah.
yeah, it was just like, oh, if the animation makes sense, then I'm okay with this ability working this way. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of like the whole thing. Like, oh, it works this way because of this. Like, it depends on what people exactly associate with an ability. Obviously, there's the text that goes along with it, but there's also an animation that goes along with it as well. And you got to make sure those two things kind of work side by side and they're not like fighting against each other with like what it looks like and what it actually does to the
mm,
ones and zeros. So,
yeah. And that's something that's been made worse because for a long time, and even still in the public build, we've got a lot of stock assets for the characters in particular.
yeah.
Whereas the stuff we're now working on behind the scenes will have, fully custom sprites and animations for every character, and we're
Yeah.
spend quite a lot of time thinking about how the animation lines up with the associated mechanics as well. So that's hopefully it will make things just read a lot clearer. Yeah, I would say like half of our discussion about how the characters' animation should look is about perception and how they read and how it aligns with gameplay wise what's happening.
Yeah, totally. Um, Speaking of uh, custom animations for everything, I don't want to like do a real sneak peek at something.
I trust you. I trust you not to leak too much.
I'm not. It's not going to leak too much because the resolution that it's going to be shown is not conducive to a lot.
Okay.
There was a sprite sheet that got posted in our development thing for one of our characters, and just the volume of animations for that one character was just absolutely stunning, and it's not even done yet. Like there is more to go. I'm just going to I guess I'm just gonna show it this way. Bear with me for a moment while I figure out what I'm doing here. Dude, the capture is it gonna work the way? Okay, there we go. Oh no, it's behind everything. So it's not really displaying super properly right now because of the layers, but let's just say there's a lot of frames per character right now. And that's not even all of them for this one character. So I think people will be pleased once we reveal everything and everything is like working in the engine, because it's really crazy just how detailed some of these characters are.
Yeah, I
a
think
little sneak peek for the day.
Our frame rate's pretty high as well. So the frame rate for the sprite
Yes.
animation is like 20 frames per second, which I think for pixel art animation is definitely on the high end.
Oh yeah, yes.
I feel like 10 is pretty common.
But yeah, there's a lot of things going on and everything's very smooth, and you know, there's going to be a lot of motion going on the battlefield, I feel. So that combined with our backgrounds and stuff, it's going to be a lot. So it's going to be an interesting time balancing those things so that not everything is distracting, because everything looks really good. Like it's very juicy, and there's a lot of things going on that I really like about it. Fun balancing character animations versus environment type stuff, and then UI as well. So that's something that we're constantly thinking about.
Yeah.
How can we best display all of these cool assets that we've got now?
Yeah. I mean, the thing we often talk about is like, I'm not a visual person, but like, I want to say like the shape language or like silhouettes, right? It's like okay, the characters are animated and detailed and moving, but just by their general pose, everything should be quite distinct. Like what stance they're in, like what mode they're in, how they're going to react in terms of gameplay stuff to what's happening.
Yeah, there's also like lighting plays a really big part in all of this as well, and like who is like in focus, who is highlighted, who is, you know, how does the lighting signify like where the action is going to take place and where you should be most focused on.
Yeah, like we have some stuff now where the screen will darken and certain characters will be highlighted, but I think we kind of need to do a whole pass actually getting the art team involved on like how do we want to like literally spotlight stuff, or you know, it also gets very tricky with all these stance reactions and combos, like who we should even be following at any given point in time.
Yeah, at some point, some players don't even like the dynamic camera. You know what I mean? Like we've had some, it was requested to add that option to turn off the dynamic camera because it threw some people off. So I wonder if it's a situation where, you know, there's got to be some happy medium where we can really show off some characters. But
what I think is like, what I'd love to do is introduce a little pre and post battle styling out sequences. Hey, Ben.
Yo.
Glad your barbecue went well. It was a little bit cooler today over here. We've had not a heat wave, but just an unexpectedly early, like incoming summer heat thing going on.
It's going to get a little bit cooler here for about a week or so as well. So then it's right back up again. Patio heater. What? Fancy. Yeah. I guess it was cold. Although I was out and it was like 36 degrees this morning, I think. Well, Fahrenheit. So what is that in Celsius?
Near to 0, like less than 5 somewhere.
Yeah, I was out there in shorts this morning, taking the dog for a walk. So I think I'm broken. I'm like, this is so warm. In my defense, it was so sunny that there was not a cloud in the sky, and it was like I think I was just being properly warmed by the sun, even though I was in like shorts and a t-shirt. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna melt in the summer. I know that because I always do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't remember what we were talking about, but yeah, we shall.
So,
I don't know if there's anyone in the chat right now who would like to play a game. I know we've got some people lurking in there. Stuff. I can always pull up a game.
Yeah. If you want to throw the link in, Andrew, and we'll see who.
Yeah, I can do that.
Takes you up on that.
Right in that chat.
What were we talking about? We were talking about like camera motion.
Oh yeah, camera motions and stuff like that.
I think like I could see something where during actual proper gameplay, the camera is more or less always static, but we have a little pre and post battle like intro. Here are the teams, or like winners podium type sequences where we can show off a bit more of the scenes and the environment with a bit of camera motion, so that we don't really need to do it like kind of during the action itself.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the close-ups on the characters and stuff like that, but at a certain point, there's like, I don't know if there's a situation where it's like adding a lot more time to the battles as well, because you have to like do the animation to like jump a character into a position, and you have to wait for the camera to kind of like steady itself for a second after it like zooms in, and then they do the thing, and then the camera goes out, and like, yeah, there's a lot of things going on for the to keep track of.
Yeah, and to be honest, like the camera path is not like super honed right now. I'm sure it could be improved in terms of just how it sweeps around exactly. Yeah.
Whoa, we got a lurker fighting me right now.
Oh.
A lurker named Malieve. What's up? Do we want to do featured layouts? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, sweet. Yeah, let's go. Ah, so many snails. You gotta watch out for those snails. I want to switch over to combat so people can see what's going on.
Was it Malieve and Ali who had the the cannon of
can't step on the snails. You gotta yeah, exactly. You gotta be careful for snails.
Is that like a universal human experience, or does that vary like by region? Like definitely over here, it's like in certain times of the year, you know, you come back to your house in the evening. You gotta be careful on the pavements not to catch a snail.
So the thing is, like, I don't think there's as many snails here, to be honest. I know there are snails, but like, I don't know, and like, I've never really seen a lot of snails, especially in like urban environments and stuff like that. So, at least in the U.S., I don't know how universal that is. Like, the main thing about like not stepping on the pavement for stuff is like, after like a downpour, like there's like the worms come up and stuff like that out of the ground, and they kind of strand themselves, and you're like feel really bad for them. So I try not to step on those guys. But yeah, man, who would benefit from not an already slow character? All right, I gotta actually look at this battlefield here. So we've got center stuff, so we want to try to stay out of this zone, especially want to stay out of this
hang on, Fen has
what's up?
Fen has redeemed some of the channel points in order to compel you.
All right, Chemist it is. Chemist is number one here. All right, we got to build around Chemist now. That's the whole point of this exchange. So let's just review what Chemist has got going on. So Chemist can speed up an ally to make them have a lot of turns. So my mind immediately just goes to Berserker there, because it's a cheesy way to get the Berserker to have a ton of turns. What else? We got Vigor Potion. Also works really well with Berserker. Flame Flask. Yeah, of course. Any synergies with Flame Flask here?
You just did the same thing. Hang on.
No. Hey, is that cheating? That's fine. I'm already taking Berserker, so that's fine. I'm gonna go for, I think, a non-standard approach here. And I want to do this.
Also, Fen, I see what you did there with your little Self-censorship.
All right. I think this is what we're going to do here. I don't know if this is going to work, but I feel like this is okay. All right. So who are we playing against? Of course, very popular engineer here. So I'm thinking at some point we're going to have to introduce another character that can like push people around because there's just so much utility from the engineer here, whose real name I cannot say right now, because that's a thing that happened. Oh man, okay, so you've got even more opportunities to get thrown around from Bolt here, and then we've got some real area control. So I believe I'm trusting you to lock in your characters before I position this berserker. So please lock.
What's wrong with where he is right now?
No. What is wrong is that berserker is gonna really depend on how that tunnel vision is gonna work out. So it's really gonna depend on I believe not planning around where I'm putting this berserker at this point.
She's locked in. You can see that.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So what are we doing here? We definitely want to start lurking first. I think what we're gonna do, man. So what I'm assuming is that Malieve wants to put her units up here because there's no snail, and you're not in the way of this right here. So the only difficulty in that is that in order for me to take advantage of that, I need to put stuff in the top row. But the problem with that is that I can't put all my characters in a row up there. So it's a slight issue. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to... Yes, I think this is what we're going to do here. So I can have these two as a unit. If the chemist gets pulled back, that's not the end of the world. It does prevent me from doing like a couple of turns in the row with the berserker, unfortunately. But what can you do? We're going to see how this goes. I don't think this is the most synergistic of layouts here. But actually, you know what? Why do I need to do that? I don't... Hold on. I have a cunning plan. What I want to do. The only problem is getting that in that zone there. I'm going to regret this, but we're going to do this instead. So ideally, the engineer is not going to take too much damage from the flame trigger because of their elemental defense, but I'm really afraid of the totem getting slapped in the center there.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? No fear. We got this. No fear at all. We're gonna try. All right, that's exactly how I wanted to happen. So. Unfortunately, that totem goes down immediately, but I think what I want to do is knock out totem as soon as possible. There's a lot of problems that character can create. For me, especially because of Berserker being so... Berserker doesn't deal with elemental defense, elemental damage very well. So there's a lot of elemental damage coming out from Totem because of... Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so I think I'm going to get slowed down, which is not my favorite thing in the world here. I think I'm going to get slowed no matter what on this map.
Yeah.
Placing it there, obviously, there's no benefit for doing like a damaging stance. So we're going to get slowed down a little bit, and that's going to mess up our stuff slightly. So what I think I'm going to do... Goodness, what do I want to do here? I would like, if I may, to... Don't want to flame flash necessarily. I think I'm just going to start cheesing as soon as possible. Yeah, we're just going to start cheesing as soon as I possibly can. Real question is, do I want to stay up here or do I want to start moving down? And I think I do want to move down here. don't think I'm going to pull anyone necessarily, but I'm just going to do a... Alright, what is the Berserker going to do? This is a real interesting choice here. So, I think what I want to do is lock in. Yeah, okay. Well, do I want to do that? I think I just want to do this as quickly as possible. So we're going to take some heat here, but we're going to try to knock them out as soon as physically possible. Problem is, I can get pulled out of the way really easily, and that tunnel vision won't quite work for me. So what do we want to do? You know, we're going to do a non-standard approach to this, I think. How do I want to do it? Well, actually, that... it's a very difficult situation we've got ourselves in here. We're going to stay here. Make things slightly difficult. This layout is very difficult for the Berserker to really take advantage of a bunch of stuff. So, especially if you've built your strategy around the Berserker.
Is there ever a case for just taking the snail?
Well, taking the snail here is difficult because the Berserker doesn't have any elemental defense. So getting whacked by this is a big problem. Staying in the snail here could be okay. It just runs the problem of getting pulled out of that zone by the engineer, and then getting slapped with this, and then they jump on there. So yeah, if this did physical damage, if the flame trigger did physical damage, I wouldn't be as concerned, but I'm a little bit concerned right now by this. Because you get into a situation like this where we're not doing too well already. That becomes a slight problem. There is a way out of this, but it's not as good as I would hope it to. We're gonna get a little bit of damage in, but oh gosh, poor Berserker. All right, we're gonna start to get some damage in here. Not sure if it's gonna be quite enough, but it'll at least be something. How much do we want to punish them? Levitation is not really super helpful unless I'm playing against Bolt, which I'm not really doing as of this moment. Berserker has such a long time before we can do anything, unfortunately. I feel like I want to go behind the Berserker, because in that case, I will be able to return fire on someone attacking from here, but I'm not sure that's the best choice to make here. But I feel like if I don't do that, I'm not going to be able to get out enough damage anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I think I just realized I could have done something different. And I am kicking myself for it.
Oh. Do you think there was any chance here to heal the Berserker? I guess having Warrior on board would have helped.
Having Warrior on board would have helped out immensely. The other option was having Warrior instead of the Engineer. So the fun thing is, what I could have possibly done here is I could have put the Engineer right in front of the Chemist, and in doing so, I could have taken the Chemist and use Adrenaline Boost on the Engineer to pull Totem back again, to trigger a Tunnel Vision to knock out Totem immediately. So kind of missed that, unfortunately. But you know, there's only so much you could do. So I think the best thing I can possibly do right now is just focus up, because we are at very high health at this point. So, and I think we should probably... Man, Lurk gives me one extra little turn there beforehand. I think that's going to be worth it, personally. So we're going to Lurk. And I think we are going... I want to go here, actually. Yeah, we're gonna try this. Thankfully, the engineer is soaking up some of that shock module, so Berserker isn't getting completely clobbered by that. However, I'm not sure the Berserker is going to survive, given that there's 3 turns in a row by Malieve ready. So it's a little bit dangerous. Yeah, I'm assuming that Berserker is not gonna quite survive this. Being shocked, stunned, sped down. It's gonna be very difficult to survive this.
Yeah, at least you're making Malieve take turns.
Yeah, pretty much. So it really depends here, because I'm curious how Malieve is going to get that extra damage in, because she has to make a decision on which character is going to do it. Because I'm not sure the second half of okay, I need the exact name. The second half of Pressure Release is going to finish off the Berserker. It might be close. I'm not sure if that's going to exactly do it. It could, to be completely honest. It might actually do it, but I'm not exactly sure if that's gonna happen. Looks like that's probably gonna do enough, though, considering Berserker just got hit by Shock Module. So,
yes.
Bye, Berserker. I'm sorry, it didn't quite work out for us, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Healing Stance would have just about had them limp through for another turn.
It might have. I was just afraid of not being able to have 2 turns in a row here with my characters, because having 2 turns in a row really opens up a lot of stuff up. So, all right, getting some damage in on the Chemist before they take their turn. I'm so sorry to see Berserker go. Rather unfortunate. That would have been a really nice turn, but you take what you can get. What do we want to do here? So I could do a little bit of pulling there. 3 to 5 damage plus whatever I get slapped onto. But do I want to waste my time doing? I could do a defense break, but that's not going to really help as much. Gosh, I kind of want to see if this is going to be worth it. That's going to be really close. How much? Tons of physical defense, but not that much elemental defense. Plus 20. Minus 40. Gosh, that's a really difficult decision. I think I'm just going to have to try to go. Oh, man, I don't know if that's going to quite be enough. I might have to use Flame Flask to finish off Totem, unfortunately. That's not exactly what I was looking at, because Flame Trigger here is not going to do quite enough.
Though you will have another turn before Totem goes again, so maybe there's...
well, no, because...
oh, no, you won't, sorry. What am I
saying? It's not quite what I wanted to happen here, unfortunately, but we're going to have to just try to... Gosh, what should I take here? It's not going to matter at this point, because no one's going to be in that zone while I do this, so... Oh, hey, what? We did it! We got there. That's going to be enough. How did I do my math that wrong? Did I really? That's interesting. All right, I guess I did my math wrong, unfortunately. Well, all right. So we're on the offensive here. I think we should just try to go for it. Most of my damage output is elemental, so I think what I'm gonna do is just try to go for Bolt as much as I possibly can. But unfortunately, Bolt's gonna move out of the way immediately. So what do I do to make people's lives difficult? Well, the answer to that is Recovery Patch. And then we're also gonna do a nice Healing Vapor.
Consolidating.
Yeah, trying to keep people topped off. Bolt doesn't have the most range attacks, so...
Yeah, Melee doesn't have any crazy immediate damage output, so... Feels like you had time to do that.
Yeah.
It'll compensate for shock at least, hopefully.
Yeah, one would hope. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to shape up, unfortunately. Gosh, that just does so much damage right now, though, unfortunately. We're going to try to heal through it, though.
At least you also have the flame trigger on your side. I mean, that's a viable option for you right now.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's not, although...
Well, I can't
Well, maybe next turn, yeah.
Yeah, because I can pull someone off and then push them over again, So that actually might not be the worst. The only problem is the flame trigger here. There, but I can get a flame trigger in on Bolt, which is not... is there anything I can do here that would make...
I guess you can then move the engineer forward and slot the chemist in behind them for some adrenaline action.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, to be honest. So, but everything kind of revolves around still doing this at this point. Man, that does hurt, though. That's rather unfortunate. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move him up here. I'll just reconfigure everything. Don't know what a lot going on. So we're going to try to do. All right, that's what I think I want to do. Not sure if this is the right decision, but hopefully it is. I think a lot of this just has to do with focusing up and then dealing with it from there. I do want to step on this, but I don't think that's going to be good for me long run. I think I need to try to get as much healing as I can possible. Yeah, this is kind of a tough little situation that we've got here. I'm not exactly sure how to...
I mean, that would have been a way to deal damage without taking shock as well, so...
Yeah. Not too much I can do here, but... figure out a way to do it. I think I see the line Maleev is going to try to pull here, so... Thankfully, I think the chemist will survive what's going to happen, but... Because we've got an interesting little tunnel here made by the totem and the berserker's knocked out body here. So the only way for me to go from electrocute was back, and now the engineer can pull me down, which does a nice little combo. And also, unfortunately, puts me in harm's way of the flame trigger.
I do really like the way corpses are working in Steamhounds right now. It definitely does add some interesting kind of terrain and positional.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. And I really wish that the turn order was slightly different here, but what can you do? I do think we do have to keep on going for that, though. So we're going to try something. Guess this is just going to have to be worth it. Ugh, gosh, it hurts so much. Everything is so spiky. It's kind of stinks a little bit.
It's quite funny because I'm watching this. When I'm watching the stream, it's like 3 or 4 seconds delayed. So I hear you're like, oh no! I hear
my complaints before it happens. All right, keep on healing up. We gotta get through this. Oof. We gotta get through. I feel like I need to go on some kind of offensive because I can't survive the rest of this. There's just no way.
I kind of think maybe you've already gone a little... There was that moment where you first laid down the heal, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
I could have gone offensive there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have gone offensive to try to get through that, but... Come on. Poke away, please. Oh, gosh. It's just a difficult situation to be in with these slowdown tiles. That kind of messed up a little bit there. Would have loved another turn, but unfortunately was not in the cards. I'm a little bit afraid of the double turn here. Leave him alone. Oh man, I'm still gonna have to waste a turn getting rid of that character though, so it's a little bit rough. Oh gosh, what are we doing here? All right. All right, what we're gonna do? Gonna go for it. Gonna do that. Not gonna trigger that. Oh gosh, what do I want to do? Well, one of two things could happen here. If I stay here, oh gosh, this is not a great like situation that we've got going on. Try to like leech a little bit of health going forward, because I think if I can turn the corner here, that would be great. But unfortunately, I think that's just going to be a little bit too much damage for the chemist to survive. Yep, it's just going to be slightly too much, unfortunately. Slight bummer, but yeah. Oh man, it's a little bit rough. We're getting it close, but I don't think it's quite close enough, unfortunately.
Can they take you out right now? Yeah. I'm not sure. You can't be pulled into the...
Yeah, exactly. So we've got... Yeah, this whole row is done, so you can't really use that flame trigger. There is a pin, which is a little bit unfortunate. Though... I can't cycle those, unfortunately. The only thing I can really do here is do an arm hook, but I don't know if that's going to quite be enough. Yep, because then we got a retaliation, and that's it. We're done. Defeat. That was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I was a little bit afraid there, but I think we got to a respectable amount of health near the end.
Yeah, I mean, that little moment of like 2v1 against the engineer, the engineer's in a bad position there, but just the health.
The health, just the breakpoints were not enough. Yeah, I don't know if going offensive there would have, instead of that one heal, instead of that, trying to do a little bit more damage, that would have been a good breakpoint to get down to a 2v1 situation at some point, but... Yeah, that would have been the breaking point there. But yeah, great game. That was really good. Yeah, I got caught up in the snails too much. I was slowed down considerably. Berserker did not like that at all. I really wish that I could have gotten... If I had one more turn out of the Berserker, I think things would have been radically different, but Berserker just took too much damage. I wonder if using trade blows that early was just not worth it. Because I took 10 additional damage from that, and that would have been more than enough to get an attack in plus some tunnel vision procs later. So I think like most of it is me being on a lot of autopilot and being like, yep, that's the most damage we got to do, so we're going to do that one. But sometimes like all out aggressive isn't always the best choice, especially that early in the games. But lots of healing to go around here. 45 healing provided, mostly to Chemist's self. So, but yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on here. Unfortunately, Berserker only got, what, one turn, basically, pretty much, unfortunately. He got so close to last, like, a second turn, but hey, that's what happens. But anyway, great match, though. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Who's next?
Who is next? feel like Jason should throw down the gauntlet here.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Fire up the game here.
While we're waiting for someone to pop in, I made a discovery a few days ago. Oh, Fen! I forgot that you were just hanging out in that stream. Would you like to battle Jason? I completely forgot, but yeah, you could totally get in there. Y'all should draft as well. That would be fun. Oh, you say? Oh, no drafting then. Filthy strats only. Which I don't remember what that is, so we cannot.
I can
coach
remember
Jason.
one aspect. I can remember one aspect of it.
I wonder if it has to do with the
99%
chemist. The question is, what is the ultimate anti-chemist pick at this point? I feel like it has to be someone with like high elemental defense. Because that causes. Because normally I'd be like, oh yeah, chemist has like kind of low health, so I would just choose a berserker. But you know, with flame flash shenanigans, that really doesn't help the berserker very much. Now does it? So I wonder if someone like the warrior.
I was going to say warrior just for their general solidness, or maybe the ranger just to cut through any guarding that's going on of the chemist.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe like a warrior. Yeah. Warrior ranger combo would be really good because they can stay around for a long time with that, I feel. I wonder if who else though?
It kind of depends on the layout as well.
Yeah, that will depend on the layout, so. Yeah, just let me know when y'all get in there. Oh, back to my my find from a few days ago.
Yes.
So I've probably mentioned this before, but I really like Babylon 5.
You have mentioned this, yep.
Yeah. So what I didn't know until a few days ago is that there was going to be a Babylon 5 game, like video game, and I had no idea. And there is actually it got canceled. It never came out. It was supposed to be like a space combat game, kind of like Wing Commander or like X-Wing, TIE Fighter,
Privateer, yeah.
All those types of things. Basically, it was supposed to be that kind of thing. I'm not sure if it was supposed to have like a story mode. It probably was going to be a story mode because, well, the story of Babylon 5 is really good. So I'm sure they could have spun something up, something new for it. But I found the E3 1998 combat demo for that game. It is very interesting because there is almost nothing to it. Like it's so early. It is a pre-alpha demo of it with like there is no good menus. Like nothing is like it is incredible how raw it is, and that's why I like it so much. Because it's like 3 options on the menu screen, which is like go, quit, and settings, and then settings is like just seeing what the controls are.
Yeah.
I could not get it to work with a keyboard. I was very surprised that I could plug a controller in to get it to work, and that worked. You have to run it in like XP compatibility mode, and it runs in like a tiny window, but it will run. Yeah, you can fly around in space, and the cool thing is it has a bunch of like fully rendered 3D models of all like the iconic spaceships from that series. And it's just like the size and scale of them as you are this tiny little fighter is just unreal. Like the Babylon 5 ship is fully rendered, like obviously low poly 1999 version of it, but it's still really cool just to be like, oh, I can fly up to that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It makes me think of those images that went around a few years ago of all like sci-fi spaceships, like scale comparison images.
Yeah. Yeah, those are always fun to look at. But yeah, it was cool because you can fly around, and you can shoot your little lasers and stuff like that. Some of the ships will retaliate actually. Some of like the more battleshipy type things. And then like the jump gates there and like all the like different like races, like giant battleships things. It was just cool. I'm just like, I didn't know this existed at all. I didn't know this was even gonna be a thing. Oh, are you guys in the?
Yep. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll switch on over to that. I was just like, I was so unbelievably giddy to find that alpha. I was like, oh my gosh. I just like played it for like 45 minutes, just tooling around in a little spaceship. And it was cool. It was fun. It was just like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would be able to do this.
I had a lot of fun with X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Oh, he's so good. Did you ever play Free Space?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Free Space, I don't know if that was ever... I don't know. It was just kind of like the IP independent like space combat game. I think there was a Free Space 2. I don't know, but it's just exactly that kind of stuff for the most part. But it was just kind of cool. Like I wish I could make a game like that because it's just so fun. Like I find because I always played gosh, what is it? Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars Rogue Squadron. That was
a lot
of
the one
fun.
like on the planet surface?
Yes, they were. Yeah, they're all on planet surfaces, so it's like more, just like inherently more interesting than open space, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of like combat options.
That's the only thing, man. Like it's kind of been one of my dream things to make like a open world, like twin stick 2D space shooter RPG.
2D. Wow, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So like a more action oriented, sunless skies thing.
Yes.
Because that's like 2D, like moving around and yeah.
But yeah, the trouble is, how do you make the terrain of space interesting? Basically, how do you make terrain in general?
It's basically like I've thought of that about that a lot actually, because I also have had dreams about stuff like that. And basically, like, you have a few options. One, you have it be like very densely populated space, which it's like you have some kind of like controlled atmospheric zone bubble within space.
Sorry. God damn you, Fen. God damn you with that heel.
Oh man, starting early here. Already just like pumping out the heels on this team. This is going to be, shall we say, interesting. Gosh, that is crushing though. I think at this point you should just be mean and try to knock out the chemist as quickly as possible. Because that's kind of the linchpin of this whole setup, right? Is the chemist. Yeah. I mean, the warrior is very much a self-sustaining kind of character that can do some decent stuff, especially if it's the last character on the, with the last one standing bonus that helps out immensely for the damage output. But,
Yeah. So sorry, I'm too into this. Tell me more about space stuff.
oh yeah. So like I was thinking about like like space colonies and stuff like that. That there's sometimes that are shown in, they're kind of like in like low Earth orbit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not on the planet and it's not out in necessarily open space, but
it's like some bubbles and connected pods and.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was thinking about is just like, okay, in order to make space combat interesting, you kind of have to make it not realistic, unfortunately, because you always get that like kind of issue where, oh, I could just literally accelerate infinitely and jettison myself off into unknown space. If you don't like contain that, then it's hard to like keep that within fiction and like make good mechanics out of it, basically, like game mechanics. Like that's, I think you can get away with that in like a, how would you say it? Like a deathmatch kind of mode where you can get like jettisoned off into space. And if you like stray too far away from the actual battlefield, you'll just get ripped apart by something. Yeah. That's fine. But in like a PvE kind of single player story mode type thing, there's nothing inherently interesting about that. Like, I think it would be very difficult to do realistic space stuff, but like keep it tight and contained and make it an interesting, like, you know, make it more like dogfighting kind of.
Yeah.
Which is all about angles and, you know, trying to stay tight behind somebody and that whole thing. There was I don't know if it still exists. I doubt it is, but it does. But there's a game called Space Cowboy, which is one of those, like, I believe it is I can't remember if it's Chinese or Japanese, but is an MMO dogfighting space game kind of thing. And all of their stuff was on like planet side. So they themed it for these crazy like jet fighter things that can technically go into space, but it was all like planet side style stuff. So actually one of the classes of ships could land and fold out into artillery, which was pretty interesting actually.
Yeah.
Because you'd have these large scale battles where you'd have like medic ships, like all-rounder ships, interceptors, and artillery. And you kind of had these like large-scale battles where like the artillery would go onto the ground and you have like an artillery barrage and they would slowly like inch up over like the terrain to get good angles on people. And it was interesting. Unfortunately, that game had a lot of problems revolving around warp gates, actually, surprisingly enough. Where much like EVE Online, people would camp around the warp gates and just destroy anyone coming through, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel that like Rogue Squadron worked for me because of the terrain and interesting set pieces that you had to fight around. And you were also fighting stuff that were on, you know, that was on the ground as opposed to just aerial dogfighting.
Yeah.
They did a decent job with that, I believe, in the original Star Wars Battlefronts. I think Battlefront 2, I don't know, I can't remember. I didn't play that much of Battlefront 1, so I don't remember. But Battlefront 2 had space combat where it was like a couple of like giant like battleships basically that you could actually go and land inside and take out like core systems and also attack it from the outside as well to take out certain core systems on the outside, so you can like take out like guns and other things as well, and engines and such, which was pretty cool. But that was also like had a boundary on it as well.
Yeah.
Like if you went too far out of the zone, it would just kind of push you back, I believe. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it was interesting because you could use the giant battleships as terrain to like weave your way around and all that kind of thing. But yeah, the 2D thing's interesting. I believe there's been a couple of games out there that have done more semi-recently, like indie game kind of stuff, that have done that kind of sunless skies thing, but like more combat oriented, which is fun. I don't know how successful they were. I believe they were, but I think that is not like that area isn't oversaturated with games at this point.
Like, yeah, the way I kind of pictured it was leaning more into kind of like procedural encounters. So
interesting.
Still flying through empty space. You know, you're going point to point, doing your trading or your fetch quest or whatever it is, but kind of trying to turn that journey into like an arcade.
Okay, so
level
action FTL kind of.
Yeah, to turn it to like an old school arcade.
Okay, interesting.
Or even like a Geometry Wars or something like that, right?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Like, there's a incoming pirate raid, and that would be like a little encounter, and then also to maybe have like just other procedural encounters where you'd have choices, like, you know, there's somebody being chased by the space cops. Do you help them out, or do you help bring them in, or, you know, so you to kind of have like some, you know, create like recurring characters or factions and like that, and trying to create the interest that way. But
man, I had a thing drafted up for people get inspiration from different areas. The one thing that totally makes me like, I don't know if there's like another piece of like fiction that has done this to me, but that one episode of Cowboy Bebop with the space truckers made like I'm like I need to make a game that is like this, like where you're piloting like big awkward stuff through space, but still like trying to go as fast as you possibly can with some like light combat where normally the best option is to run away because you are a freighter. Like I'm like, please, I need to do this. I need my giant space trucker with like with a whole like bunch of radio stations that you can switch in between like whatever hype music you want and just like blast through stuff and have it like incredibly stylized.
Yeah.
I just love this whole space trucker concept is really amazing to me, and I don't understand 100% understand why, but
kind of just the aesthetic of it somehow.
Yeah, it's just cool. Like, I don't know, like it's just kind of amazing to me. Which is like the another game that like a game that has actually done that for me is gosh, there's a game that's in, I believe it's in early access right now. Hard Space Shipbreaker. Which is like basically you're a space scrapper basically.
Yeah.
Hired by this company, and you're completely like indebted to them by like billions of dollars because as part of accepting the job, like you technically have to pay for all of your equipment and to get you into space, and by that time you're in space and you're renting your equipment from the company store and stuff like that. You're so in debt that you have to work like a ton of like forever basically to get back from under it. But like I don't know, like taking like a somewhat like mundane like Earth job and just like putting it into space introduces so many interesting like kinks into that formula.
Yeah. Did you ever see there was an anime series called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Planet ES, or I'm not sure exactly.
I'm gonna look it up, but no.
It's about people who work on the equivalent of like the ISS, right? Like a more like a modern version, and they're like space garbage people who clean up debris that's in orbit.
That's
so they
amazing.
have to go out on a mission to like find some old bit of debris and like, you know, strap themselves onto it, attach a little engine that's going to push it back into the atmosphere so it burns up, or, you know, there's like things are going to collide, so you have to get there in time and move them around. It's like very mundane, but like really interesting, all of the
That's cool. I need to
it.
figure out where I can stream this. Because this is totally my jam.
It's quite a good show. It's quite like more. It's kind of like, I suppose, like a character.
Oh my gosh, Jason, and it has the magic phrase, 26 episode. I really love really tight anime series. Like 26 episodes is perfect for me. I feel I'm not a super big fan of like hundreds of seasons and stuff like that. I can't keep up with that.
Yeah.
But if it's something like this, sounds really good. Oh, and of course, oh man, yeah, that's great. And of course, Dark Horse is the manga. I guess Dark Horse is more of a comic book kind of thing, but they have a manga thing, and apparently they made a manga through Dark Horse for this. And Dark Horse is like my favorite comic book publisher as well, because they have a lot of the things that I'm into. So I'm like, yep, this only reinforces that I will be into this thing. Oh, that's cool.
It's weird. It's kind of goofy for like the first couple of episodes, but
that's how they all are.
It's actually kind of got a bit of like depth to it.
Okay. Did it start off with like slice of life kind of thing, and then it goes into like more of a thing?
It's about, okay, I suppose the theme is about like dealing with insecurity, I would say.
Oh,
like
that's fun. Okay.
Human theme. Yeah. But then, you know, there's some weird, goofy stuff, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, Chemist dies last.
It just so turns out. I like I'm still looking at the planets or whatever, however you want to pronounce this thing. I like the space suits. It's very Space Odyssey kind of thing. The big old helmets stuff. Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's pretty like. Oh yeah, sorry. I would say it's pretty like realistic.
Good. Yeah.
Like hard sci-fi. It's like hard sci-fi.
No, it's cool. Yeah. All right, Warrior. Show us what you got. Warrior's gonna be in here for a while though, considering the health regen, but I'm not sure if it's gonna quite get the breakpoints that Ben needs at this point.
I'm hoping not.
I mean, I think if there was a speed up tile, I think you would be in trouble, Jason. But
yes,
but there being only negative things going on here, that's a little bit different.
Got DQ'd. Oh no.
What?
Apparently, I wasn't allowed to take the chemist out. Yeah. Chemist is so formidable, They're such a threat that it just had to be.
Man, we need to get commander mode in here. I think that would be... I think I figured out commander mode, Jason, already.
Okay.
You just literally give one character last one standing. And then... and then, like, 50% more health or something. And then that's, like, your commander mode. Like, you have to... The point is to try to knock out that character in particular.
Yeah. So if they die, it's just
yeah,
game over.
It's game over at that point, yeah. The only thing is, like, it kind of prevents some characters from being good commanders because some characters are not necessarily, like, damage-based. But them hanging around more gives them more utility time, so I don't know. It's obviously, like, that's a whole goofy little different thing. But
yeah, I mean, I guess you should be able to pick which of your characters is the commander, so probably you're going to be able to make something work.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, looking at this layout, it's interesting. Like, what Fen could have done differently there, I don't think it was particularly suited. Because Chemist always wants to be behind someone pretty much, which means you're always going to have somebody in flame trigger range. Whereas I had something where I could do like a horizontal or column-based dealing with the Sentinel. And then with Levitate and Evasive, I was pretty solid.
I mean, you've also counterpicked, like, we hardcore counterpick these characters.
That's fair.
So it's not always the terrain thing. Like, sometimes there is inherent like advantages by picking certain characters if you know your opponent's going to pick certain characters as well. And I think that's part of the game. I think that's part of drafting, once we get that in there, that's gonna, I think that really opens up a lot of strategic option, I would say. It also, like, causes players to have to think about different character combinations than they would, instead of just like the one or two different options they would normally go for, and how to make certain things work when, they might not be the most overpowered or broken thing. So, because there are some non-obvious character synergy out there that you kind of have to grasp at and try to make the best of once you're locked into a certain character composition.
Yeah.
But yeah. So. Ben, would you like another go? I can jump in there, unless there's someone else in chat who wants to jump in. If anyone would like to play against Fen. Fen, why don't you throw in an invite into the chat, and then we'll give people a couple minutes to decide whether they would like to play against you. The Chemist Master.
Yeah. How would Chemist work out as a commander?
Well,
Depends on like the buffing scheme, right? If we buff their health as well.
yeah, I think it's health, like 50% damage, 50% health. I think that's about it. All you would really need to do. It just kind of makes it like a super version of whatever character it is. I'd rather not have it like be double, because that just can break things considerably.
Yeah.
Even 50% is a lot, because we know how much a Vigor Potion can affect character's damage output. So yeah, because I'm just trying to think of like damage output of Berserker with last one standing from the start of a fight with 50% extra health as well. That's really intimidating. That's actually really crazy now that I think about it. Unless we made that 50% extra damage also with trade blows deal 50% even more to themselves as well. So there are ways to balance it a little bit. I just think that's just the most exploitable move of the Berserker when it is buffed. Just has
that's
some
true.
of the highest numbers, pretty much, of a non-focus ability game.
Yeah, and right now it's, as we saw actually with like one of the first battles today, it's possible to focus down that Berserker.
Oh yeah.
But with this, it would not be, and you'd pretty much be guaranteed to get off some crazy one-hit thing with the Berserker as your commander.
Yeah, it's interesting because the other thing that you have to realize is that the Berserker is very slow. So if your opponent also has some crazy combo, that may or may not be a one hit combo basically.
Yeah.
If it's faster than that, then if everything's equally broken, then they're meta forms basically. If there's a healthy meta form, which there are counter picks like that, but if the most broken thing is also the most easiest thing to pull off, then that's when it becomes a problem. That's when you get trouble and people get bored and all that sort of thing. Ben, has anyone jumped in yet? If not, I will jump in there. Actually, I can just click the button at this. I don't need anybody's permission. I can just click it. We're good. There we go. I need a new icon.
What do you want?
I don't know. I'll have to look through what we've got right now.
There are new icons as well.
There are new icons. I happen to know somebody who's creating icons. All right. I don't know if Fenn's gonna try to do the same thing, but I will share my picking situation here. All right, so we've got a vertical situation here for the flame trigger. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I do want to stay out of this, unless I like a bunch of characters with a ton of elemental defense. I mean, it could be a thing. It could be a thing. This is a thing that we could do. I'm gonna try a non-standard character combination here.
Okay.
I think what I want to do YuGiOh, Engineer, and Ranger. I don't think I've quite seen that combo yet.
I can't really remember that being used much.
I don't know if this is a good combo for this layout, but I just want to try something that hasn't really been done too much before. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. This is the I'm happy with.
Fen, where are you getting all these points?
Hold on, where are the points coming out? Wait, I'm not in the mod view.
Oh, Fen used Let Fence Chemist run amok.
Oh
Select a strat.
gosh. If it's not too brutal for my strategy, then sure, we'll try this. Are you just going for the defend the chemist strategy here? All I see are people who can guard over on that side of the battlefield. Oh boy. All right, what do we want to do here? So this is a little bit difficult because somebody's gonna have to step on something, I feel. You know what? This is a little bit difficult. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. So sweeping guard is something that's gonna have to happen. We always want to support first and foremost because a fast character which will be able to switch back to evasive stance pretty much immediately. We have some melee attackers on this side, so I do think a levitation would be nice. Although, since you're being protected, I can always do this. What do I want to do here? I don't have to worry about getting pushed and pulled around, thankfully. So I can kind of set it up in a way... Kind of set this up in a way that won't... thing in the world. This. The problem here is that this this layout nerfs the ranger because the ranger cannot be in the front row to get better evasive chance. A little bit unfortunate, but we're gonna stay with evasive stance here because I want to get damage bonus here from shoulder to shoulder, and I want to make sure that I have the. Yes, I do have the. Sorry, Fen, I take forever when I have to explain my stuff. The real question is, who are we gonna try to pick apart first? I'm not exactly sure who I'm gonna do. So I think we're gonna try to pick apart the chemist first, right, Fen? That's what this strategy was? Is that what we were doing? I think that's what we agreed upon, right?
Yeah, I don't know how we interpret let Fence Chemist run amok. It's kind of vague.
So I'm going to put that off for now, and I'm gonna do this for a second. I feel like I still do want to support, but I'm kind of stranded right here unless I step onto this, which honestly, getting a little bit slower isn't the worst thing in the world for this character because it kind of brings them on par, and I'm able to support and get some additional damage in pretty quickly with that. I want to start getting as much support as possible. Evasive is only 25% chance to dodge anyway. So you know what? I think we're gonna do. This is fine. I still get the damage bonus from shoulder to shoulder here. And I do want to get protected from that sweeping guard. I already see shenanigans happening, and I don't like it. I should have just gone straight for that chemist. I don't know who I was kidding. This will be this will be a masterclass in correct prioritization of characters that you're supposed to target. Because as you can see here, Ranger is not going to survive for very long. Unfortunately. Because ideally what we would have done is just immediately target this chemist. There are many ways to do so. But yeah, it's an interesting situation we have ourselves in here. What I can do is immediately just arm hook somebody, which is always a good strategy. Guard, lurk. You know what? Yeah, I think what I want to do is mess this up a little bit. See what happens when you try to focus down the warrior. because it's usually not the best way of doing things.
No, you want to get around, through,
yes,
behind.
But we are attempting to show you what happens when you pick the wrong thing. Oh man, there's a difficult situation here because YuGiOh will have a turn, but if I want to get someone out of here to switch them up, then it's a problem. I think what we want to do down here. But you know, everything is just about breakpoints. So we're gonna do this. Still gonna do this. Be all right here. The thing is, fence strategy is a little bit messed up right now because of the warrior getting slowed down. If the warrior wasn't as slowed as they were, then we could have gotten another combo out of that, basically. So, but as it is, as it stands, this is fine. And this is the problem. Focusing warrior is not a good idea because YuGiOh can just do what YuGiOh does. Our other options here, you can do more combo shenanigans, which is probably going to be a good idea. I will let Fen survive by not focusing down that chemist as of right now. And we will instead illustrate YuGiOh focusing. We're going to show you how this. Got some decisions being made over on Fen's side, and of course, we're gonna focus up because we can't depend on the warrior now. At some point, I'm gonna have to make a move and do some real damage. We're gonna attempt to do that. I think I'm like kind of okay where I am, to be honest. I don't mind being levitated. Kind of cuts down on the number of targets.
Yeah.
That Fen can go after at this point.
I mean, when your opponent doesn't have arm hook, it's
yes,
so much more freedom.
Things get a lot more stable. What do we want to do? I think what we would like to do, we're going to keep this here for now. And we're going to deal with whatever comes after me. We have a very turtly strategy going on both sides, so I'm not exactly sure how long this fight's going to go on for. Got a few seconds left. Gotta make a decision. Too much for Fen.
No.
Too many decisions to be made. There used to be, at least it's come up at least once, where there used to be that the best decision was to do nothing and let the time run out. It was one very specific circumstance, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think I have some memory of that. But it's very, yeah, it's maybe once, if ever.
I really do like that damage multiplier. Gosh, it's kind of a difficult situation, though. It is nice to have 2 turns in a row, though, at some point. Oh, gosh, I think I do have to stay, unfortunately. Actually, I think I know what I wanted. Nope, we're staying here. It was a very difficult decision. There were a few more things going on in my mind, but yeah.
Yeah, when the clock ticks, you have to simplify.
We all knew it was coming. That's all right. If there's less damage output coming from the chemist, I'm happy. Just trying to keep that engine alive. I know what we must do. Know what's coming. I'm a little bit scared, but we're gonna try to deal with this.
You're both so defensive. It's it's like turn 1 or something.
We're eventually gonna try to break through this, though. I'm in it to win it. Like, if I can't target that chemist, it becomes a problem.
I feel like NG with the arm hook just gives you a slight advantage overall here.
I think so too, yeah. But that kind of requires having the engineer and the ranger to be both up at the same time, and it looks like the ranger's gonna have a slight problem eventually. What do I want here? You can't possibly do 27 damage, right? Right. Yeah, we're fine here. This is fine. I'm so scared of that chemist now. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous.
How dare you? I'm gonna try to make you pay for that one. Or at least attempt. I'm gonna attempt to do that. The only problem is that sentinel stance gives me a bit of a problem right now. We're gonna try to pick this one apart a little bit. Because thankfully we have a bunch of characters in a row. Eventually I'm gonna run out of turns with this levitation. It's starting to get a little expensive, fortunately.
What are you up to now with levitate?
Hold on. Important part. Yeah! Oh, we got there. Because you have to do that all in like almost one turn in order to knock out a character like that.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise, yeah, that becomes a problem. Okay, I can talk now. Levitate's gonna do 4 damage next round, so. Oh my gosh! All right, we got there. All right, I hopefully we can get this one under control. I spoke too soon. Yeah, it's gonna become a slight issue now. Ranger was really MVP for a while, so.
Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty sure that Flame Blast was coming away.
Oh yeah, there was nothing that the Ranger could do. At this point, I probably shouldn't have used Sweeping Guard. I should have used Catch Breath instead. But it looks like we won't quite pay for it this time. All right. Scared now. Gotta figure out what we're doing here. That Sentinel stance really messes some stuff up, unfortunately. Man, if only the Ranger didn't get knocked out in that one tile. That's like the only like safe zone there is, really. Otherwise, you run into issues with the slowdown tiles in the front row, so becomes a slight problem.
Yeah, you don't have any really nice positions open to you.
No, it's rather unfortunate.
When the fire dies down, you could potentially clear them out of that tile with the hook.
I mean, I could arm hook it out. If I really wanted to, I could potentially do that. Oh man, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here. Can't really do too much. Ben, can I target the chemist yet? Can I do that? I would love to do that. It would make things so much easier, Ben.
I think they just had to survive till the end, right? That's the...
Oh no, I don't like that though. I don't want to do that. That's not what I like. In there. All right. Trying to make your life hard. I am scared though, I will say that much. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do here. Do this. I want to get away another stack of fatigue as soon as I possibly can. It does put you into harm's way though. If I slow you down, that causes... Actually, it doesn't cause that many problems right now. Okay, let's try this. I'm willing to try this. It doesn't cause too many problems. Eventually, I'm going to have to do some damage, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that Chemist Warrior is not a bad little engine.
No, that's good, yeah.
Although the spear, you know, your focus attack is pretty good against it.
Yes, well, right now it is, definitely. I mean, the thing is, Fen has Sentinel Stance running right now, so he isn't necessarily protecting that chemist right now. I don't know if that was the right choice, Fen. I think you could have done some serious damage to my engineer, but
I think that was an emotionally driven decision.
You know I'm not targeting them until it's over, right? Oh my gosh, I'm so scared of that chemist right now. Why are we doing this? This is so rough. Oh man, I could Rousing Speech though. That would be nice. But the thing is, everybody would have to survive. Actually, hold on. That's not too bad, I don't. So if I do Rousing, so here's the math here. So if I do 17 damage to both, how much is it doing? 24 and 11. 11 right there. But if I use this Rousing Speech, it increases everyone's defense, plus Engineer will do 10 more damage. So I only really care about this warrior right now. Oh man. Alright, we're doing it. We're going for it. I think I will stay here, actually. This is fine. Alright, taking 5 damage already. Alright. Interesting. Why does that deal so much damage? Oh, Jason, does the magnetic spike not take into account the 10 bonus damage?
It probably won't, no.
Defense break does take that into account.
Okay.
Up there, but magnetic spike doesn't show. Oh, none of them show except for defense break.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
See if there's a difference there.
Really strange. Do the. It does do the bonus damage, to be sure. Oh gosh, I'm so afraid of getting hit by real damage. We're just gonna keep on levitating, I think. But we can't do that there because Warrior Shove is gonna become a problem. Oh man, I should have done it in the top row. Or that the Warrior... Well, the Warrior can't shove, so... Alright.
I don't think it does. I think it's just the... Is it physical versus elemental? Is that why there is a difference in the...
Oh, that's... It might not show up there because of that, huh? Oh, you're right. Yep, that's exactly why. It doesn't show that bonus damage because it's the damage type. So maybe that shouldn't show, like, 15 to 17 because... Yeah, huh, interesting.
Yeah, kind of what we were talking about, right? Like, how should that be previewed?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe we just need, like, a little list at the bottom of, like, oh, hey, you've got this thing, which is also going to proc based on this attack. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. That could definitely work.
Oh, that's a whole new bug, yeah.
Oh, man. Then if I can't do too much more within the next couple of turns, I'm taking the limiters off. I'm removing the limiters. We're gonna go for it. I'm running out of time with this levitate. Got myself into a corner now. Ah, gosh, that's about it, I think, yeah? Because you're gonna take, how much damage are you gonna take, son? So, minus 40%. Oh. 2 damage. 2, 4. Okay, so they are going to survive here. I could encourage to keep things rolling, but I think this is the best chance I have now to do some real damage. 14 damage, that's it? Why are we doing this? Oh, man.
Pretty funny. I heard you say that before you.
Oh, no. Oh no. That's not gonna do enough for me, huh? Well, we gotta do this at some point. All right. We're gonna try to do this. Oh, this is gonna be a little bit difficult, yeah. Oh man. Stay here. I think I'm just gonna take out the chemist from incidental damage at this point. Oh no. Ah, I needed that turn. Yikes. At this point, I think I should have left. I should have not used my focus ability at this point because I could have gotten that extra damage from last one standing.
Ah, true.
Re-healing again. Oh, all right, Jason. We finally found it in the UI. Healing is hidden.
Oh, it's got too many stacks.
Got too many stacks finally. I think that's the first time I've actually seen that. Yeah, I think that's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. So this is also something we're figuring out right now in terms of reworking this UI and how we show data to vectors. We'd like to make the icons a wee bit bigger.
Yep.
But also not have them fill up the whole screen.
I think we'll be able to do that without a problem. I'm working on something. I think we'll be able to do that without too much of a problem.
I do quite like just the aesthetic of how all of the circles we have right now.
I know.
The way they move is kind of cool.
The circles the circles make a problem though, I think.
Yeah.
It just uses up so much space, unfortunately. Then you get into an issue with concentric rings or whatever you want to call it here. What are we doing here?
I just enjoy the way they like animate as new effects come in and out.
I know. Oh, stop hitting me with stuff. Please. Too much fire here. Let me take a turn. We're still gonna do what we need to do here because that's gonna do a lot of damage. Will we still be able to play by Fenn's rules? That's the real question. Oh my gosh. We're getting so close. Ah, it doesn't stack. We removed that. Oh my gosh. There is a certain circumstance where, depending on how something goes in the next couple of turns, I don't think I'll be able... Oh, no, that'll be fine. This is fine. This is double fine. All right, we're doing good. We're doing great.
Okay. All restrictions are lifted.
Yep. Now you can see me at my true power. It's like the anime stuff where like they take off like the weighted like backpack or whatever they've been wearing for like the entire season or something. They're ready to go at this point, and we're just gonna start doing some stabbing. Gonna keep on stabbing. Although I wonder if I should have done a focus up at that point, because I think I would have been able to finish it next round, because I don't think I'll be able to finish it now because of healing. I might have to do an extra round after that. We will see. I'm running out of spaces though, unfortunately.
lots of fire.
There's too much fire. There's bodies, fire, snails. What are they gonna think of next? But I think this is about gonna do it. Just got one more thing to do here. Gonna go here. Can't trigger that, so I'm safe for a while.
Yeah, so I think Fen maybe should have moved off of the switch last turn there.
Yes.
A slight edge.
Yes. There have been situations where the way that characters have stacked up could have easily like shuffled in between a few tiles to do what needed to be done, basically. Especially since I'm playing by Fen's terrible rules. Could have easily taken advantage of that. Which I got around a little bit with some AoE, but hey, what are you gonna do? Ah, all right, we got there. Healing provided 137. Are you kidding me? Oh no. Oh, that was rough.
Also, is there a better word than provided? I was kind of struggling there.
I don't know.
Do you deal healing? Do you?
I guess so. Maybe that's fine. Because
dealt?
it's I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. It would be symmetrical. Healing dealt, damage dealt. I don't know. Also an interesting thing here. We have 4 knockouts on this side. Who is responsible for what? What happened?
Huh?
So we've got 2 knockouts here, 1 knockout here, and 1 knockout here. We've got 4 knockouts being done by this side.
That's.
Oh wait, hold on. Oh, it's an own goal. There's only 1 knockout on this side. So so someone. Oh, because he knocked himself out. Okay, so the engineer technically got knocked out from levitation.
Ah.
So there was a. Should you really get credit for knocking yourself out? I'm not 100% sure.
I mean,
it's technically true, but
consolation prize, we'll call it.
I guess. I wonder if it should have been. I wonder if it could have been like the last character, like the last source of damage from the opponent's side that has dealt damage to this character or something like that, maybe.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because the kind of own goal we've got here didn't. I think that's more confusing than it is illuminating at this point.
Yeah, that's
funny. That's funny. I looked at it and I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, engineer, sure. Levitation, all that good stuff. Yeah. That's funny. Oh, Fen, the fatigue. Yeah, I was desperately trying to not get too many fatigue stacks with YuGiOh because it was I had 3 stacks at one point and it was starting to become a problem. So I'm like, no, let's try to have the least number of stacks. I didn't actually get into a good situation where I could have put a character in front of YuGiOh, unfortunately, to get that extra stack off, because the ranger was not long for that world at that point. So it was kind of a problem. But I'm surprised that I won that one because that was very difficult. I think if I wasn't able to knock out your YuGiOh in one go, then I would have been in a lot of trouble. Just because from a pure damage output standpoint. But combination of armor break plus YuGiOh's focus ability was enough to put it over the edge. So thankfully that kind of works out. Because like percentage bonus damage from armor break is really nice. with big numbers.
Mm.
So it ended up working out. Yeah, YuGiOh can be scary. I don't know if enough people use YuGiOh. YuGiOh sometimes doesn't survive long enough to be able to use more than one focus ability.
Yeah, I mean, that focus ability is pretty brutal. Like, that's really
Yeah,
powerful.
it is. Yeah, we might take another look at it and read that damage at some point, but unless more people use YuGiOh, then we're not going to see it that much, and then it's fine. So, but hey. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we found some cool stuff, and yeah, it's been fun. We'll take a look into yeah, that was the first time I think we've seen with the rendering the status effect. There was just like one too many. I think that's literally the first time I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So I gotta know how many status effects that is now,
I think it was
because
6, I want to say.
I think it was like 6 or 7. It's a
Yeah.
lot. So I'll put that into the UI design notes because
Yeah, I feel like we want to be able to handle, like, if there's room visually for like 8, that would be seems relatively safe.
yeah, I think so. But I don't know. At some point, you could get some crazy stuff. So you might get into like a 2-row situation or something. I'm not sure, depending
Yeah.
on the size of
I guess something that like somewhat gracefully handles like overstacking, like it doesn't just obscure them completely. Maybe it gets in the way of stuff is probably better than just
Yeah,
not showing them. Cool.
yeah. We'll see. Well, currently working on that right now, so we'll see what happens. But all right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out and supporting us, lurking, playing games, all that good stuff.
I think I'll throw in a raid on Craigie, who's one of our
Oh
Discord
yeah,
community members who's streaming right now. I think they're
yeah. Let's
playing
do
some
that.
kind of Choose Your Own Adventure stuff.
Oh, sweet, excellent.
Cool.
All right. Well, be chilling here for next few seconds until that raid's active. But until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye, everyone.